Welcome to the Val Emmons Show. Today's topics talked about from a woman's perspective. Talk to Val Emmons by calling locally 433-0092 or free long distance at 800-264-0092. Val Emmons only on KARN, News Radio 1029 FM.
And here we are. It's Saturday. This is the Val Emmons Show, and I'm Val Emmons. Today, wow, we have a lot to talk about. So if you want to, like he said, if you want to weigh in on today's topics, then give me a call, 501-433-0092. We have some breaking news for you in Kenya, the mall shooting, which has also included in the death toll Americans. It's now reported that 39 people have been killed in this mall shooting situation in Kenya. And wow, it's now a hostage standoff with, like I said, the death toll risen to at least 39 dead and 150 wounded. Kenyan President Kenyatta said in a television address this afternoon that he vowed to hunt down those behind the attack, saying that the country has overcome terrorist attacks before and will defeat them again. This is ongoing, so I'm sure that KARN will keep you posted throughout the afternoon. This is just, crazy. But, it just goes to prove that these things don't just happen against America, and the whole world needs to be concerned when it comes to Al-Qaeda and terrorists. So then we also have the NSA update for you today. Brazilian president has called off next month's trip to the United States because classified information obtained by Brazilian network Globo TV showed the NSA has been monitoring Brazilian state oil giant Petrobras. The data also revealed that the U.S. had been spying on the Brazilian president's private communications. As a result of the revelations, President Dilma Rousseff has postponed an October state visit to Washington and demanded an explanation from Washington regarding the NSA surveillance activities. So, pretty much they're going to cut ties with us pretty much because we're trying to read their president's communications. Are you serious? What kind of threat is Brazil to us right now? Really, are there Brazilian terrorists out to get us? Seriously. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. We can't be trusted with spying. We're spying on Brazil to try to whatever it is we're trying to do. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And, they're protecting Dan Greenberg's, I'm sorry, not Dan Greenberg, Greenwald. We're protecting, Brazil is protecting Greenwald's partner, I guess you say, because he is Brazilian, and they are actually protecting their life because they are looking into this deeper than anybody, I think, right now, because it concerns them hugely. It's going to impact them. The U.S. National Security Agency, NSA, has been accused of intercepting emails and messages from Ms. Rousseff, her aides, and state oil company Petrobras. The allegations were based on documents leaked by fugitive former intelligence contractor Edward Snowden. President Barack Obama had promised to investigate the incident. Yeah, okay. He's going to investigate himself, kind of like Eric Holder investigating himself. So the White House said that he had telephoned Ms. Rousseff on Monday to discuss the matter. The allegations of widespread espionage against Brazilian citizens were first published in July by Rio de Janeiro-based journalist Glenn Greenwald, a reporter for the British Guardian newspaper. So Mr. Greenwald alleged that the NSA accessed an all-internet content that Ms. Rousseff had visited online. So they're watching what she's watching. They're looking at what she's looking at. They're reading what she's reading, which in the reports that came out last week about the NSA, they're intercepting people's, when you go to Google, they're pretending they're Google and redirecting you to their site so that they can see what you're looking at. And if you don't think that's real, you need to take a closer look because that's what's going on right now with the NSA. And there's much more to come out, I'm sure. So if you want to talk about this today, give us a call, 501-433-0092. I know everyone's focused on the game today. Not sure how that turned out or it's turning out, but if anyone wants to call in about that too, we can talk about that. But I just want to keep y'all posted on this NSA stuff because, it's going to get lost in all the discussions regarding Syria, etc. Oh, wait. And then there's the UK Operation Socialist. Yeah, this is great because the RT is reporting that the Operation Socialist is a UK spy agency behind the Belgian telecom hack. UK spy agency GCHQ, carried out its hack attacks on telecoms from Belgacom, data divulged by Edward Snowden has now revealed. So fingers initially pointed to the NSA when the Belgian authorities reported a foreign state had invaded the networks of the state company. But it turns out it's actually the GCHQ. So it's the NSA's buddy over in the UK. Citing documents leaked by former CIA worker Edward Snowden, Der Spiegel reported that the British government communications headquarters were behind hack attacks on Belgium's state-owned telecoms firm Belgacom. Slides from the GCHQ presentation seen by Der Spiegel show the infiltration of company computers was part of Operation Socialist. The presentation then goes on to describe the advanced technology involved in extracting the data from the organization. So they targeted certain high-level employees with the man-in-the-middle attacks, like I just told you about, which is where they intercept what you're looking at and redirect it to a copycat website where their computers infect. This one infects you with malware. The malware was then designed to manipulate the computer and collect key information from your computer. So this stuff is absolutely sci-fi, and whoever would have thought that this stuff would be going on right now, I mean, not in my wildest dreams would I have thought that people would be intercepting. Well, I mean, I'm not surprised now, but when I was growing up and you see all these movies like this, I never thought it would come to fruition, but it is. So now we have to talk about Syria. Russia today says that it's not protecting Syria. However, we are protecting international law. And if it comes to light that Syria is cheating, then Russia will change its stance. So far, they say that it has not been evident that, there's not been any evidence of cheating by Syria. But they're saying that Moscow could change their mind. Or not their mind, but their position on Syria if it discovered that Damascus is cheating, says the Kremlin administration chief Sergei Ivanov today. He says, I'm talking now theoretically and hypothetically, but if Russia becomes sure that President Assad, for example, is cheating, we might change our position, but so far we don't have such evidence. So, as the UN Security Council prepares a resolution that would see the implementation of a plan to disarm Syria of its chemical weapons, the chief of the Kremlin administration called on the UNSC members to base the resolution on a strategic long-term vision, not momentary concerns. So I wanted to get down to this one part that I read that was interesting, because what he says is that Russia has done its part on the Russian-American initiative of May 7th. We've secured Damascus' commitment to send a delegation to Geneva conference. Our American partners have so far failed to do the same in the talks with Syria opposition. According to Ivanov, the Syrian opposition has problems with getting to the negotiation table. It's very difficult to define the opposition now, as you know. There are so many splintered cells, and one of the predominant ones, of course, is Al-Qaeda, which is now, we're seeing that they're probably behind this thing in Kenya where 39 people are now dead, but 150 have been, harmed. And probably going to be more by the end of the day because there's a hostage standoff. Anyway, so Al-Qaeda is now one of the predominant splinter cell groups in Syria, and the claims that cruise missile strikes would help advance the peace process are not only ridiculous, but they are irresponsible, Ivanov warned. In the event of military intervention in Syria, the opposition, which is already against the planned peace conference, will lose any interest in negotiation in hopes that the U.S. will simply bomb the regime into the ground, as it did in Libya, Ivanov said, pointing out that opposition groups are being deployed closer to Damascus so that an assault on the Syrian capital could be coordinated with U.S. strikes. He says, I don't need to explain how high the death toll would be, especially among the civilians. Escalating conflict in Syria will have an unpredictable consequence. The head of the administration stressed, particularly underlining that Christians are now being killed and expelled from Syria by the rebel militants, who also execute Christian clergy and attack ancient Christian monasteries. Now, does that sound like something that we need to be taking part in and striking on Syria? I don't think so. So it's pretty sad whenever I am on the side of Russia. I mean, because I'm the one that's always saying we need to look out because Putin is looking to gain his place back in the world. We all know that he was upset because Gorby dismantled the USSR. and he didn't get his shot at being, ruling more than just Russia. But he is taking he's taking the first steps in this, and to go about it peacefully. And actually, he's the one that has common sense about this. Instead, we want to go in and strike folks that are protecting Christians. And we all know that I'm not religious. So me saying that is a huge, huge thing. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. We are back on the Val Emmons Show. That was Lisa Marie Presley. Man, I'm telling you, she was off the chains Tuesday night when I saw her at Juanita's. And this new album she has, I just want to start. You guys got to listen to that. It kind of grows on you. And I'm telling you, I had tears. I'm sorry. I was crying in her voice. I mean, I don't care what people say, what everyone has, said about her, but she has won me over. And that's hard to do because I'm a huge music freak. But you go out and get her album or listen to it wherever you want to listen to it. Some good stuff. Anyway, so we were talking about this. We were talking about Syria, and then of course we've got. But I was just informed by Mike just called me and told me that in the Kenya thing, that because I missed this in the ABC report, that they asked who all was Muslim, and if you raised your hand and said I'm Muslim, then they let you leave, and then they started killing people. This is who we're helping in Syria? Al Qaeda? Really? This is who we're giving guns to? This is who we're helping have weapons that we just sent? Reports are saying that we've sent them over the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Americans were killed. Just want to point that out. And so back to the Syria conflict. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Thursday that Syria's chemical weapons cache was built up in response to Israel's alleged nuclear weapons stockpile, and that these nuclear capabilities make Israel into a target. Syria chemical weapons were built in response to Israel's nuclear weapons, Putin said, responding to a question about the chances of persuading Syria to give up its arsenal, as agreed under the deal proposed by the Kremlin last week. Now, I'm not so sure. I don't understand what I guess he's trying to say that this is all Israel's fault, basically. Putin is trying to say that Israel is the reason that Syria has built up their chemical weapons. I guess that's what they're saying. Anyway, so I want to move on and get off the Syria thing because I know that everyone's been talking about it and blah, 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 and you're probably bored to death with it, even though it's important. It's hugely important, but I've talked about it enough today. But I wanted to. Now this is going to get some calls, I hope. We're going to talk about the Senate vote to defund Obamacare. I hope that the Senate votes to defund Obamacare, but which we know they probably aren't going to. Which, if you've been living in a cave, the House voted yesterday to defund Obamacare, but to fund our debt, to go ahead and pay our government debt. So first, let's make a distinction. A government shutdown and debt ceiling breach are not the same thing. During a government shutdown, Social Security checks will not be mailed, government employees will be furloughed, parks and embassies will be shut down, and contractors will not get paid. Perhaps it could be a repeat of the 1995, except that both parties will probably want to make a deal in less than a month, like they did back then, when Clinton and Gingrich both had the nerve. But, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And now Tom Cotton and Mark Pryor are both at each other. Their campaigns are both saying, no, he said he's for it. No, he said he's for it. You know what? Mark Pryor, you voted for this to begin with. You started all this. So, and you feel it's great for the people. Why would, I don't understand why, but I don't know. You need to fix this and we need to pay our debt. And if we don't have enough money to cover Obamacare, then it's obviously not good for the American people. Americans for Prosperity has a new commercial that they've been playing. And I'd like to play it for you because I think it's accurate. It's actually accurate. And Josh, you have that queued up?
Over the last 20 years, I have been diagnosed with 2 different cancers.
At times you live from one test to the other. Having very supportive healthcare givers is extremely important. It is so much of fighting the battle. The changes in our healthcare system are a big concern to me. Obamacare is dangerous. It can't be implemented. Your well-being, judged by a bureaucrat in D.C., is devastating. I do not want my children to be a name or a number in a computer. They are people. Our government is not organized to take care of us. They aren't. They can't. We are the best in the world, and that's what we want to keep, is the same level of care. I have had the best care in the world, and I want the same for you.
Now, I think that is completely accurate in all of our thinking. I want to keep the best care that America has. Why do people come from other countries to get their care here? Because we are the greatest. I mean, granted, the insurance companies get involved, and let me tell you, my son had some tests done this week. And do you know that I had to sign a waiver saying that if they did not cover this particular test, that I could pay for it. I pay for my insurance. Just another point out that your insurance doesn't cover everything. So if you think that Obamacare is going to cover everything, you're not going to have to pay anything while you're paying your monthly premiums. You're full of it. And you need to relook at things, because they wouldn't pay for my son to have a white blood cell count and to check and see if he had diabetes. Diabetes is the #1 killer in this country. And you're going to tell me your insurance company won't pay for it. I mean, that's crazy to me. That test came back negative, by the way, so I'm good. Anyway, but my son. But I'm just saying that's crazy, because your insurance, if you think that this Obamacare is good in any sense, shape, or form for this country, you're wrong. And I think that that commercial says it all. It says, if you think that the government can handle your health care when they can't even, look at the VA. Look at the VA. These guys are sitting there and they can't get care for months. That's how it's going to be for that's government health care right there at its finest. Look at how the DMV runs stuff. That's how your lines are going to be. It's going to be take a number, buddy. You want into a doctor? Take a number. We'll call you in a month. And don't tell me this, because I've heard this from people that live in Canada, that they have, in some of the smaller towns, they don't have enough doctors, enough health care, so they have to draw straws to see who gets into an appointment. That is absolutely insane to me. And that's what you want here, Mark Pryor? Sorry, bud. I am for going into shutdown. I know that people, it won't last long. I'm not for it, but I'm saying we have to stand up, and we have to stand up against these idiots that voted this in the first place, like Mark Pryor. We have to stand up and say, the 71% of us that didn't want this are speaking up now, and you better listen to us. Because when you passed health care, that abomination care back in 2010, 71% of Americans were against it. And it's probably more now, because it's come to fruition, like people like McDonald's, like what you heard on Dave Ellswick's show on Thursday. People were saying that, or sending him in stuff saying that they're canceling their insurance come 2014 because it has a cap on it on how much you can use. At least they had insurance to begin with. Now they have nothing. Now they're going to have to go on Obamacare, which is going to be paid for by who? Taxpayers. You, me, the rest of us. I believe it's Amy on the line. Hey, Amy, how are you?
Hey, Valerie, how are you?
I'm good. You have an update for me, don't you?
Yes, I do. I'm Amy, and I work with Parents of Murdered Children, and we are having a huge get-together tomorrow at the Capitol, and that's going to be at 2 p.m., and it is for all murdered victims across the nation.
Parents of Murdered Children.
Yes, it's our National Day of Remembrance.
That's awesome. So how many are you expecting to come out?
Well, we're not really expecting at least probably 25, 50 people. Hopefully there will be more. Hopefully not. It's kind of a different kind of situation because it's for murdered victims. So anyone who's been murdered in Arkansas tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. at the Capitol stairs, that will be where you would want to bring a picture of your loved one and just kind of stand on the stairs and listen to us. It'll last about maybe 30 to 40 minutes.
And if you want to support the community and people, victims who've lost their loved ones, come out and show your support. I mean, what else do you have to do on a Sunday, right?
That's right. That would be great. And it's after church. It's at 2 p.m.
Well, thank you, Amy, for calling in. We appreciate it, and I hope that next week you'll call in and keep us an update and let us know how it was going.
All right. Thank you, Val.
You have a good one.
And thanks for everything you do.
Aw, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
That was Amy. She is awesome. She was on a couple of weeks ago talking about how when she lost her dog, and that's a very sad story. A lot of you called in and said that you're so sad. But it's like the most of you, I'm glad to see that she has turned everything around. That horrible, and if you know anything about her daughter's murder, also, I mean, you can call the Jacksonville Police Department, or parents of murdered children, and they can get that information to her. It's sad to know that, she has no idea. She has no closure in that, but she's turning around to help other victims. And tomorrow, be out there at Capitol Steps, 2 o'clock, to support parents of murdered children. And the victims aren't just the folks that have been murdered, but they're also their family members because they've lost just as much. So we're going to take a quick break, some news, and if you want to give us a call, 433-0092, about anything we've discussed or going to discuss, because the next one I've got, the white supremacists and the KKK are buying land in North Dakota. Buying up land. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
Oh, let's go. Oh, let's go. Oh, let's go. Oh, let's go. The falling in a straight line. You're going through a tight one. You keep on losing their minds. Let's creep up.
Hey, some Ramones right there. Some of my favorites. Anyway, so this is the Val Emmons Show. Welcome back. And I want to talk about this story that I came across today. It says, RT reports that white supremacists who are also supporters of the socialist movement, and which the liberals think are so cool, those liberals think that socialism is so cool. Well, I'm here to tell you socialism is not cool. Freedom is cool, people. And I know there's probably not that many socialists out there listening to my show. But if you are, you need to rethink your strategy on socialism. Just want to tell you that. Freedom's cool, socialism, not cool. So anyway, this white supremacy group plan a takeover in North Dakota. So I'm going to read this to you, but first of all, I'm wondering, now, let me just read the story for you first, and then I'll go back to my comments, because I have some questions that I wanted to bring to light about this. So, white supremacists planning takeover of small North Dakota town. A small North Dakota town has established a legal fund in hopes of fending off supremacists to buy up nearby lots of land and take over the city council. Craig Cobb has purchased, 61 years old, mind you, this is his mentality, has purchased mostly vacant lots at low prices from the absentee owners in Leith, North Dakota, in an attempt to own enough property to control the local government. The town is located 51 miles north of Bismarck. Cobb, who is a self-proclaimed white supremacist, is wanted in Canada for hate crimes for posting hate material online, according to federal charges filed in 2010. County records show that Cobb has purchased 13 lots. The Bismarck Tribune reported that he transferred 2 of those lots to other parties, one to Tom Metzger, formerly the Grand Dragon of the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan in California, which birthed the White Aryan Resistance, and the other to Alex Linder, who started the white supremacist website Vanguard News Network, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. In addition, a Michigan man who is the leader of the National Socialist Movement, get that? National Socialist Movement. Buying and plotting with the KKK. The next time somebody wants to call in and tell me I'm racist, why don't you take a look at Occupy Wall Street, or all you socialist politicians like, Obama, Rahm Emanuel. Anyway, in addition, a Michigan man who is the leader of the National Socialist Movement has rented space in the town hall for a meeting this weekend. Cobb originally announced his plan last year on Vanguard News Network, urging like-minded people to move now and quietly get going here without letting the cat out of the bag. He said he chose the town based on its proximity to decent jobs and for its cheap utilities. He reportedly told workers on the Grant County Courthouse that he has plans to change the name of the town to Cobbsville. A Leith Town Council member said the council has not received support from county or state officials to block Cobb's takeover attempts. He added that the local government is considering dissolving the town, effectively giving control of the area back to the county. Unity ND, a group which confronts hate and racism in North Dakota, created a website in response to Cobb's attempts and will hold a Sunday rally to encourage the town to block the 61-year-old Cobb's efforts. They say, we cannot accept this racist hatred they are bringing here. Leith is in a crisis and is crying out for help. They need to show the Nazis that they are absolutely not wanted here. Nazis, socialists, KKK, they all believe in the same thing, folks. Now, if you think, like I said, if you think socialism is cool, you're wrong. Freedom's cool. Freedom. Capitalism. Capitalism is cool. Not socialist. And I have a question. So, do you think that Obama, because I think he's a socialist, he wants everyone to live in, do you think that he would live with the people? I don't think so. Do you think that any socialist dictator is going to go and sit and live in the ranks with the regular people? No, they're not. They're going to live off of the hog with your money, your work, and so aren't other people high up in the government. Another question I have, well, I mean, I wish that they'd all move there, but then, we could get back to living as Americans, capitalism. We wouldn't have to fight to not be socialist when we have history to reflect what has happened in socialist countries like Germany. But also, I had another question. Do you think that the KKK could live with Obama in peace and harmony? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Anyway, that's thoughts that run through my mind. If you have a comment on this, give me a call, 433-0092. And I have great news coming at the close, so you want to listen. I've got a good guest coming next week. Anyway, so another question that I have is, if you're planning a takeover in North Dakota, I mean, you wouldn't really bother a lot of people because there's not much out there, is there? Nah. Anyway, go out there. If y'all want to live together in peace and harmony, go. Let me know how it works for you. Let me know how that socialism and the KKK getting along with the Occupy Wall Street. Let me know how that all works out for you. Anyway, so me and Josh been wanting to talk about this today. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out this week. Man, I'm telling you, it's been quiet in my neighborhood. So, all those people out there buying up Grand Theft Auto, letting their kids play it at home. So, Josh texts me this weekend and says, you know what? Go ahead, Josh. Tell him what you saw.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was in Target yesterday, and they only had a few left, and someone was buying a copy of Grand Theft Auto, and cashier back there thought it was him, and it was for his little boy. I was like, this kid can't be out of grade school. And it was at Target, so any purchase like movies or anything like that where you have to be of age, they swipe your ID, and he has to see his ID. He's like, you need to see my ID? He's like, yeah. He goes, this is a mature rated game. And when he did, he goes, and the man was like, wow, you have to be 17 to buy this?
If you don't know what Grand Theft Auto 5 is, well, when I tell you a little bit about it here in a minute, you're gonna.
It's the fastest money-making entertainment thing now ever.
Oh, yeah, it's made over $1 billion now. It's already
just 3
topped.
days.
It's already topped Man of Steel coming out in the movie theater.
It took the
Superman.
Avengers 10 days to make $1 billion.
I know, right? And so here's some questions like Grand Theft Auto 5. So parents, at least watch, review, or rent it for yourself and first. And if it's a R labeled game, you can rent it in Redbox before you go buy it for your kid, because The Guardian reported that there's a part in the game where the player has to torture someone, like pulling their teeth out and stuff like that. And so, and now look, I'm not coming down, because look, my kids played in the game, but we talk about it. We sit there and talk about it. Now in the past game, now you can say what you want about me. I don't care. My kids are not sheltered from the world. I'm not going to shelter them because when they get out on their own, they're going to know what to do and they go crazy anyway. I mean, look at Miley Cyrus. We're going to talk about her in a minute. We're going to talk about Miley and what Billy Ray Cyrus said the other day, which is horrible. And so parents, go watch these things because you have no idea. And Grand Theft Auto, the one previous that was at Miami, and I play this with my kid.
And there's San Andreas.
And San Andreas. Well, in one of them, you can go in a freaking strip club. Really? You want your 10-year-old kid going into a strip club? And you can sit down there and watch them. It's not like going to a strip club, but still, it's pretty graphic. It's pretty, my kid just gets in the car and drives around. And from the time he started playing this game, we have talked. You can't just get in and carjack people on the side of the road. And you can't just shoot people up. It's not. You'll go to jail. There are consequences. People will die. Me and my kids talk about this stuff. Just like when they play Call of Duty, they know it's not real. The stuff's not real. But the problems that we have are when these kids, who these parents want these things to babysit them. They want to throw them in the room and they don't care what's on it. That's when we have problems because these kids don't distinguish reality because no one's there to teach them. And so, I'm not saying to ban these games or censor them at all. What I'm saying is the parents need to be more aware when little ones, like what Josh is describing, 10 years old maybe, are seeing these things.
Because his friend got it and said it was really cool.
Yeah.
It's cool, Dad.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, look, whenever I was waiting tables right before I graduated from college, not too long ago, I'll have you know, I haven't been doing good stuff for a long... I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with waiting tables. I did it for 16 years. But anyway, when I was waiting tables, I had this one customer that came in. She was regular, and she had a granddaughter that was about 10 years old, and she wanted her to buy that CD. Is it Nelly? I don't know who it is. I'll take you to the candy shop. I'll let you lick the lollipop.
That's 50 Cent.
50 Cent. Okay. So she buys this for her 10-year-old granddaughter because she has no idea what the content of the record is. And when I told her, she about flipped the lid and she couldn't believe that she bought it for her. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. Do a review. You can go on YouTube. You can go anywhere on the internet and find out information, reviews on these games, this music, before you buy it for your kids. Don't just let these people babysit you because we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about Miley Cyrus. Be right back.
Nevertheless, in my dress for the occasion. Summer 32 and here's the situation. If the beam moves your feet, then don't change the station. You're back because you're leaving on a permanent vacation.
And this is the Val Emmons Show, and we are back, and I'm Val Emmons, of course. So when I left you hanging a while ago, we were going to talk about some Miley Cyrus. And I know y'all are sick of hearing about this little... Anyway, so Billy Ray Cyrus was on Piers Morgan this week talking about Miley, and he says that this is just Miley being Miley as an artist. Excuse me, Billy Ray Cyrus, but no artist goes on stage half naked telling... this girl just gets on my nerves, I'm telling you. And not because look, I love Madonna. I don't care about the provocative stuff because it's been done, it's been played. It's Madonna's the queen and she always will be. So what I am concerned with is what Billy Ray thinks about his daughter selling youth on Molly, which is ecstasy. Now, why this question didn't get asked is just ridiculous. And it's just freaking awesome that half the teen girls grew up watching her, and now Hannah Montana is telling them it's cool to take ecstasy.
Rick James has a comment.
Rick James has a comment? What is it?
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. And so, if that's just Miley being Miley, then she needs to be slapped in the face. I'm so sick of these artists like Lil Wayne and Miley Cyrus singing about doing drugs and making it cool while they don't want to take the responsibility of cleaning up after the riffraff in society that they helped create. These kids think that it's cool and they go out there and listen to their music and then they go, oh, well, I can drink lean, which if you don't know what lean is, pay attention to what your kids will listen to because that's what lean is. Lean is promethazine with codeine mixed with Sprite. And Molly isn't just your kid's friend. It is ecstasy, a hardcore drug. So if you're buying this crap for your kids, take a look at it first. They sure want to take the kids' money and the parents' money, but they don't want to be responsible for cleaning up after it. You know, they'll take the sales while leaving us with overdose kids and jails full of teenagers who are out there committing crimes and crap because the rappers tell them to. At least Ashton Kutcher, who I'll just tell you, I mean, I thought this was crazy that he was on Nickelodeon, but I agree with his message because Ashton Kutcher played a pothead on both of his shows. He's on 2.5 Men now. He plays pothead, and then before on that 70s show, which he plays pothead. But his message is to lift kids up. Don't expect everything to come to you. Life is hard. If you listen to his Nickelodeon speech, that was awesome. And some of these artists need to take a look and take lessons from him and how to be a star. And like I said, he played a pothead for Christ's sake, but he's out there telling kids that be real. So I put a comment on this page, and a guy says to me about Miley. I said about the riffraff part, and he says to me that just think of all the people who are employed dealing with the riffraff that these guys create in their music, who will lose their jobs. So you should thank Miley. You should thank her for keeping them employed. And I thought he was being sarcastic. He wasn't being sarcastic. He was serious. He called me a moron. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this is how people really think. That let's have riffraff in society out there robbing, murdering, pillaging, raping, taking drugs, so people can have jobs. I'm sorry, but I would rather have people unemployed and have a decent society than the society that we currently have. If you want job security in any of those manners, and you're turning these kids out to keep on, well, like prisons, for example, if they turn out people and they don't come back, well, then, that's not job security for them. So you have to question these contracted prisons, etc. When somebody says something like this, you have to start thinking about it. Well, maybe they are prolonging their job security. It's kind of crazy. So I think we got somebody on the line. Hey, you're on the Val Emmons Show. Who am I talking to? Hello? Are you there? There's nobody there, Josh. Maybe they hung up. If you hung up, call back in. I think they're calling back in now. Anyway, so yeah, I think it's absolutely crazy that people actually think that way. And Miley Cyrus needs to be, that is not artistic. That's absolutely ridiculous. So if you're a parent out there, pay attention to what your kids are listening to and watching. All right, sorry about that. Did we drop you?
No, I think I might have been the one. Excuse me.
That's okay. Who am I talking to?
This is Bill in Little Rock.
Hey, Bill, what you got?
Well, you've hit on I'm now 66 years old. I, for the longest time, was a drug prosecutor, and I remember prosecuting a lot of cases. It was easy to get a conviction. There were a lot of people speaking against drugs. They had the red ribbon days at school.
Right.
You had a lot of politicians speaking against it. You had a lot of your community leaders organizing. You had a lot of your sports people, even some entertainers. It's amazing to me. I guess what I'm seeing what maybe my parents felt about me when I wanted to buy all those shaggy-haired Beatles records in the 60s. I can't believe what I'm seeing. What I'm wondering is, because there's tons of evidence why mollies and crack and pot and the whole thing is bad for people.
Yeah, you think?
But I can't believe what I'm seeing, that there is such little leadership from our Republican or our conservative people when it comes to drug use, when it comes to the debasing of society that you see and you hear. And I don't know where we go to fix this, because I think that people now.
You know what? Let me stop you for a second, Bill. You know what? We know where we go with it. We stop buying the crap for our kids.
But we've been saying that for a decade, and people obviously are making money, and people are buying it. But who's going to tell them? Look, here's the way I look at this. It may be too simplistic. If there's no soul, if there's no God, if there's no biblical teachings, if there's no standards based on the premises of the majority of the people in your society and your country, then there's no reason not to buy Molly Cyrus. There's no reason not to take drugs. There's no reason to not violate the fifth commandment or the sixth commandment of adultery, because it's all then how I want it or how you want it. If there's no community standard, that's the way I look at it.
But she's being an artist, Bill.
Yeah.
She's being an artist.
Look.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, look, they took prayer out of school. They took it out of the public sphere. You can't even have a baccalaureate service anymore in most colleges. They've twisted that around. I'm just looking for our conservative Republican people. I mean, I'm very political. I'm looking for our people to come up. You know, people used to make fun of Ronald and Nancy Reagan. Nancy Reagan came here.
Hey, I met Nancy Reagan when I was 12. Little did I know who I was meeting, but it was pretty awesome.
I'll tell you, she was doing the Just Say No.
Yeah, she was doing the DARE or not the DARE, but was it DARE? Yeah. No.
Just Say No.
No, not DARE.
Just
Yeah, that's right.
No Club.
That's right. That's
she
right.
came to Central. When I was an assistant U.S. attorney, I went to Central and we heard her. It was somebody saying something.
Yeah, right. I agree.
I want some of these politicians to quit talking about economics and talk about the absolute degrading of society.
But here's the thing, Bill. When you let people go and do these drugs, they're not paying attention, and that's what. I mean, I'm not saying that's what the Congress. I don't know, but I'm just saying. I'm pointing that out. When you let people be on drugs, when you let them have everything they need to keep them preoccupied, then they're not paying attention to what you're doing.
Well, you know, and you're right, and I can't believe. I know it's all money. You know, if you can be Molly Cyrus and let somebody do a dry hump behind you and stick your tongue out and act like you're riding some guy, if you can do that and make money out of it, who's gonna matter?
Yeah.
The parents aren't saying anything.
Because they don't have a clue. Because they don't have a clue. They're so wrapped up in their own world that they don't have a clue what their kids are watching or listening to.
Why haven't they had a clue in our public school system?
Well, that's to be
because they took away. Look, it's okay. You can do the double funky chicken on your head with some guy. It doesn't make any difference if there's nobody saying, look, it's against God's law to do stuff like that.
Well, look, we don't practice religion in my home, but my kids don't do the funky chicken on their head. I'm just saying. I think it has to do with the individual. The individual. It's what the individual will accept. It's what they do. It's how they handle themselves. If they're not paying attention, my kids would never, ever, ever do that crap.
Well, they got a good mother, regardless of whether it's religion or whether you just look at it and go,
it's teaching.
That's gross.
That's right.
For the majority of the people, the reason you don't have sex outside of marriage, ideally, okay, we're not saints, is because it's against the sixth commandment. That's the reason that the Judeo-Christian ethic developed, was because it's Judeo-Christian. Excuse me.
All right. Well, thanks.
Anyway.
No, thanks for calling in. I completely agree on some of the things you touched on, and
thank you.
Keep listening. Keep calling in, giving us your opinions.
I do, and thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we're about to wrap it up for the day, but pay attention this week because the Josh Hastings trial. The jury, they're still going through the jury selection. It's been over a week long now. The court's trying to weed through any juror that might have a bias, of course, and the prosecution is remaining quiet on if there's any new evidence they'll present. I think that they should listen to me and regarding the kids' contents of the vehicle that they were driving when they were shot at, and one of them was killed. Bobby Moore Jr., of course, was killed, and I think that the fact that he had a .45 in the car with marijuana and marijuana paraphernalia is a huge factor in this trial, and I think omitting that, like they did last time, will only lead to a mistrial once again. But that's just my opinion. We're about to be out. You need to turn in next Saturday. Our guest will be former congressional candidate Bob Thomas. Bob ran for Congress against Vic Snyder in 2000, and he's going to be talking about Obamacare. Why you should listen? Well, Bob knows a thing or two about it, having been in the Medicaid sales for decades. So tune in next Saturday. It's going to be a great show as usual. I I being a little conceited there? No. Anyway, tune in. Give us a call next week. Voice your opinions. And stay out of trouble. Don't be a victim. And keep your head up. Bye.